everybody, this is Albie from Pasadena, California, and for my business partner Elizabeth in Macedonia, we both want to welcome you to this short video. We're going to give you some really great tips about earning online. So let's get going. Okay, so in this video, I want to go over an advertising crash course for you. Okay, there's no way that I can possibly teach you all this stuff in intricate detail like you really need to be taught without you actually going through a full course about it, everything. And the good news is that we have a full training for you after this video that goes into everything, right? And you can access that when you're ready. But this video is to help you get started, to help you understand what you need to do and which method you want to focus in on. Okay? I'm going to do my best to try to give you some of this stuff as quickly as I can and all concise as I possibly can to help you out, okay? So I really hope this kind of opens your eyes to what it's all about, what advertising is about. I think of advertising kind of like fishing, you know? So that's what I'm going to try to do right now. So let's get into it. Alright, so I'm really excited to share our complete crash course advertising with you, how you can access it completely for free. Let me share all the details with you right now. Alright, so at any point you are going to have the link. I'm going to put it up right up here on the screen so you can have access to this advertising crash course, okay? And basically it's going to go through the massive advertising method that the Cash Now funnel gives you, and then it's going to go into all the crash course basics and every type of all the 7 different kinds of advertising that are involved and how they all apply to real life, and we're going to go into Udemy, networking, email marketing, safe lists, calling leads, social marketing such as Facebook, YouTube marketing, Twitter, etc. And then we're going to be talking about SEO or search engine optimization, be able to get your blogs and your websites ranked with keywords. And those are the basic marketing strategies that we're going to be talking about, as well as we're going to be going into some strategy for you and how all these different marketing tools and things applies. And then to top it off, our final big training that you can go through, which is called Take the Challenge. You take the challenge 1, 2, 3, and 4, which will give you everything you need to learn how to succeed. So this training is just an awesome crash course on doing it all. And of course, if you want to go past the crash course, just go through it and then go down to the full-on training, which is challenge 1 through 4. Okay, and you can access with the link I put up for you right here. So really quick, I want to mention to you that this advertising crash course will not be complete for you if you don't go through Frank's Cash Now funnel, or the Power Lead Systems Cash Now funnel, and get started with the massive advertising method that Frank talks about here. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to click on here to get started and go through that. You'll see the directions if you've already been through it before and you missed it. You want to follow these directions right here, okay? But definitely don't start on the crash course basics if you haven't gone through Frank's massive advertising method, because you'll really miss out on hearing how the pros advertise and how you want to get started getting a ton of advertising to your site, okay? You definitely don't want to miss this right here. All right, so definitely click on this link which says click here and get started with that before you go to step 3 and learn some more of the basics that I'm going to teach you, okay? Now, by the way, this This crash course is completely free. All you have to do is put your name and your email in, and you'll have complete access to it. Okay? And of course, don't forget that this video that you're watching right now, I'm not sure whether you're watching this from YouTube or you're actually watching this on the crash course site itself, but either way, you definitely want to continue watching the video, watch it all the way through so that you'll get all the tips and understand where I'm coming from and be able to understand my heart and what I really want to convey to you through this training, okay? Okay, so one of the first things I wanted to go over with you is how similar advertising is with fishing, right? And you know, when you go out fishing, you don't know if you're going to catch a fish, right? And there's lots of different ways to fish. There's lots of different lures. There's lots of different methods. You can use a fishing pole. You can use a net. You can go out deep, or you could fish from the shore. You know, fish from a little canoe or rowboat, or you can fish using a big boat or even a industrial boat. But you know, the thing is that there's so many different ways of doing it, and some are more effective than others, right? And some ways cost more money as well, so you have to keep that in mind. And of course, if you don't have the money, then you can start from scratch and learn how to build the things that you need to be able to succeed. Things that you can build are an email list, a customer base, a YouTube, Facebook, or social media subscriber list, email campaigns, and blog posts that bring in new customers each day. And these are all things that you can build completely from scratch to something big or even to something massive. And so when you go out, you just have an idea where the fish are. The more experienced you are about that, then the better chance you have of knowing where they might be and catching the fish. And you know, of course, when I'm talking about fishing, when you catch a fish, of course, you're gonna very few people just catch it and throw it back. But if you're really fishing to live, you're gonna catch the fish and eat it. And when I'm talking about advertising, of course, I'm not talking about using people. You know, some people think of it like that, like I'm going to go out there and make some money at the expense of others. And how you should be thinking is, I'm going to go out there and help some people, right? I'm going to give them something in exchange for their money, something helpful to them. If you do it with that attitude, then it's a lot different than going out there and just abusing people and using them. One quote I remember hearing someone say, I think it was Sam Walton, was that sales happen while you're in the midst of helping your customers, right? And that's really, really true. So, I don't know if you saw that show called Alone a little while. It's been out for a little while, and recently I saw one of the episodes where it was, these people were up in the bear country. I don't know, up in Canada or Alaska, somewhere near there. They were all put on this huge lake in different places and had to survive for as long as possible. I think there was 10 of these people, and they all had to survive out there as long as they possibly could. And one of the things about that show is that most of them came back super skinny, lost a lot of weight. Most of them were close to starvation, and only a couple of them, I think, really came close to actually mastering living out there, right? Honestly, all of them did amazing. You know, it's just absolutely amazing what they did out there and how they survived and everything. So I'm not criticizing any of them. But I just want to share with you some of my thoughts and conclusions that I came to after watching that show and how they apply to advertising. And honestly, I think you're going to find these insights very helpful. They sure were for me. Okay, so back to the show, right? You know, most of the 10 had found ways of getting some basic food by, you know, mushrooms and things that you could find, berries and things in the forest and whatnot. But only a few of them actually drove themselves hard enough and I don't even know, I'm not judging any of the characters in the show, but so I know they all worked hard. I'm sure they all did, but what I meant by that, what drove themselves hard, is they actually had a vision of getting out and where the fish were, or the animals, wherever they needed to get. And one of them made a boat, another one of them went hunting and caught a deer, and another one caught a bunny, or a rabbit. And, you know, they were able to survive that way. And many of them caught fish, you know, either with a gilly net or with a fishing rod or what have you. But what I'm trying to say is that fishing, hunting is not as easy as it looks. And advertising is just like this in that respect. And you don't know if you're going to catch the fish, or your hunting's going to come up successful, right? So it's the same with advertising. I mean, some days you come back very successful, you know, lots of sales, and other days you wonder what happened, right? The thing you have to realize is that the more advertising you have, the higher chance of success that you're going to have. And it's just like hunting and fishing. You know, the more traps you have, the more hunting you do, the more chance of success you're going to have as well. The more traps, or the more fishing rods that you have out there, the better, right? Because you don't know whether A, B, you know, trap A, fishing rod B, or a fishing rod C, the boat, or the hunting expedition. You don't know which one is actually going to prove successful. So it's really good to have a lot of different sources of where your advertising is, what you're using for advertising. You know, it's good to hit a lot of different avenues, because you don't know which one's going to be successful. One of the things I look back on is I think about how many people have I brought in, and what method did I use, right? And I use a lot of safe list advertising, and you know, I bring members in all the time using this method. But you know, sometimes it's sporadic. Sometimes it goes up and down. Sometimes I get a lot of new members. Sometimes I only get a few, right? I also use email marketing, so I bring in new people regularly through email marketing as well. Again, it's sporadic. Sometimes it's higher, and sometimes it's lower. I also use a little bit of network marketing, not much, but I do connect with some of my old prospects and some people that I know that are interested in things that I'm doing, and I do bring in new members through this method from time to time, right? The thing is, I don't spend a lot of energy on it. I just have people that are on my list in my phone, and I just connect with them once in a while when I think about them. You know, I just send them a text message to say hello and see what's going on for them, and see if there's anything changed. You know, I also do leads. I call leads, not very many. I don't like to spend a lot of time on the telephone, but a little bit of time doesn't make a big difference for me. And I enjoy talking to people for a little while, you know, maybe half an hour a day, maybe at the most. And so, you know, I don't mind calling a few people every day. When I say a few, I mean literally a few. I don't spend a lot of time on the phone. I used to do, you know, a lot of calls every day, and I didn't enjoy that. So I'll do a few calls, and you know, I bring in new people from this method also. The thing is, again, I don't spend a lot of time on this method, but it can prove very fruitful if you're consistent with it and persistent to continue following up with your prospects, and especially the ones that show some interest. And I want to share with you how some of these methods work. You know, there's also SEO. You know, SEO can be very powerful if you learn it. It's kind of hard to learn. There's a lot of things you have to learn. As well as safe list marketing. Safe list marketing, it seems like it's easy. It seems like you just go out there and promote a link. But actually, there's a few tricks to it that you need to know. At least it is if you want to be successful at it. And the other way of advertising is, you know, social media, Facebook, YouTube. I love YouTube because YouTube, I just have better results with YouTube. Maybe you have better results with Facebook. And I really enjoy doing videos and sharing things that I love with people, and relating those back to earning online. So another way would be using solos, and like for instance, you know, finding a solo vendor on Udemy. And I get new members from this method all the time too. The thing about advertising methods, whatever method you're using, is that you're probably not going to make your money back right away. And that's the thing that most people don't understand, and that's the reason why a lot of people quit at the beginning, because they think they're going to make their money back, and be able to get better and better right away. And usually it doesn't work that way. Usually what happens is that you have to get good at whatever advertising method you're using first before you start making your money back, right? It's kind of like a hunter going out there not really knowing how to hunt very well. He spends a lot of energy shooting and really not hitting much of anything. And another thing is, who knows how much money he spent on his bow and his arrows and his gun and his bullets and everything else, his gear, his outfit, and training and lessons and whatnot, right? But even if you get trained, it doesn't mean that you know how to do the real thing. My brother used to study skiing, but he had never actually gone out there and skied in real life. And so when he actually went out there and did it, he was terrified. So you see what I'm saying? So it can be a real challenge until you get good at it, right? And another way of looking at it is kind of like a space rocket. Getting a rocket off the ground uses a huge amount of energy, and once you get it off the ground and up in the atmosphere and space, the momentum, is carrying it through, and it doesn't use as much fuel, right? So it takes a lot of fuel to get it off the ground. And so any advertising method that you're using, you have to stay consistent and keep learning and keep getting better until that break point where you start getting better and actually start seeing results. All right. And so if you want to change your life, you have to remember that it all works through developing your skills and getting better at it. And unless you want to stay at a job the rest of your life, well, that's up to you, right? But I know for me, I just decided, you know what, that's not good enough. I wanted to be able to do things that most people could only dream about doing. And it takes a little bit of sacrifice in order to do that, right? You have to be willing to stay in there and stay in the game and keep. I'm not telling you have to go bankrupt in order to make this happen. What I'm saying is that you need to be able to spend a little bit of money and save up a little bit of money and use that money consistently. I'm not talking about using the money that you're going to use for food. What I'm talking about is just using a proportion or a percentage of your money in whatever advertising method that you're focusing in at the time, right? One more thing is that customers, when they come in, they typically don't spend a lot at the very beginning, although that's not always true either. Sometimes you can get people coming in and spending quite a bit. But the thing is that once you develop trust and they get to know you a little bit, and when they're excited, sometimes they will spend really a lot, right? Especially if they have a little bit of trust, they develop a little bit of trust with you, and they're excited about what they want, and they want to, all these things come in their mind about what they want to do and achieve, and all of a sudden, right then, it might turn into a shopping frenzy, right? But here's what I'm trying to say, is that sometimes customers, they will hold back at the beginning because they don't know you or trust you yet, and so you won't notice some of your sales making very much money at the beginning, not until you get enough customers who are coming in and purchasing on the back end of whatever funnel that you're using. Okay, Sometimes people, it takes some time before they're ready to spend the big bucks on what the program or whatever it is that you've got going for them, right? So you have to realize that, you know, it takes just like that rocket. It has to build momentum before it gets to a point where it's financially making sense, right? So I'll go into that in just a little while. So I hope that helps you. All right, so real quick, I want to go back to the Alone series really quick, and just to share a few things that I saw that people were using to catch food, you know, a fish or animals or whatever. So the first thing I noticed was that some people made a dock to fish from, right, which was a really good idea to get them out towards, you know, out from the shore, out into the water a little deeper. And then I noticed that this one guy made a boat, and that was really smart because he'd get out deep. You know, he was not confined to the shore. He was able to get out there and actually get where the fish were, and that was fantastic, right? Other set gilly nets are really big nets. You know, you can put them on a pole and put them out in the water, and a lot of fish have the potential to come across the net and go through it accidentally and get stuck in the net. And then, you know, sometimes the bunny traps would work. You know, every once in a while they would catch a bunny in the bunny traps, and the fishing would not work, but all of a sudden they'd go by and, you know, their hunting wasn't working, and all of a sudden they went by and saw a bunny caught in their trap, and they're like, they had some food because of the bunny trap, right? And there's also, you know, traps you can make to catch fish. Inside the show, I didn't see anyone catching any fish through that method, but obviously it works because the traps wouldn't be so popular if they actually never caught anything, right? So the next thing I saw was the hunting, right? And of course, when you study hunting, you know about the deer forts that the hunters make and out in the forest. Even though in the Alone show, I didn't see anyone making a deer fort. And I was thinking to myself, you know, if you're wanting to live out there in the wild, you really have to make a fishing empire. You know, you need a lot of fishing poles, and, you know, fishing poles that extend far out into the water, and, you know, maybe rafts with fishing poles on them. What I'm trying to say is that, you know, one method may or may not be the way that you eat tonight, right? So you need to have a lot of methods working for you. And so it's good to learn one method and then learn another method after that, and so forth, until you have quite a few different traps and things out there that are working for you, so that you have different ways of catching the food that you need to survive. And that's what I'm talking with advertising, right? That's what I'm saying. You need to be able to learn one advertising method and then move on to another one, and focus on each one at the time, and then move on to the next one and learn another one, so that you can keep increasing your advertising methods and getting more and more stronger with what you're doing. So you see what I'm saying? In the real world of advertising, when I think about, well, which method worked, you know, which method worked, I realize that a lot of different methods work, and sometimes some work better than others at different times. You really don't know which method is going to pull in the most fish on this particular day, if you want to call your prospects fish, right? So when I think about a boat, you know, I think of that kind of like building an email list, because you have access to get out deep, build a huge list, and get a lot of people on your list. And the thing is that in building a list, not only are you building a list of people, but you're building trust through your emails to that list, right? You're building up a huge clientele of people who know you and are reading your emails and getting to know you better, and developing trust, and trust inspires sales, right? So building a list is really important. To build a big list. So, you know, it's like going out in the ocean and having access to thousands and thousands of fish, right? But in this instance, we're talking about people. right? So building your email list is kind of like that. I think of kind of like using safe lists, is kind of like a dock. You catch fish, and the better you get, the more fish you catch. Facebook marketing is kind of like having a fish trap. You might get one. You might get lucky. Unless, of course, you study Facebook marketing and become really, really great at it, and that's a whole nother story right there. Having nets that you're going to throw out into the water, those are kind of like kind of effective, right? And if you put out enough nets into the water with a boat or a gilly net or whatever you use, then it's kind of like solos. Solos reach a lot of people. A net can catch a lot of fish, and so solos can also catch a lot of fish too, or a lot of prospects, right? And when I think of bunny traps and stuff like that, I think about YouTube marketing. And of course, the better you get at any of these methods, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever it is that you're using, the more powerful you have of becoming at it, So, I mean, there's a lot of people on YouTube marketing that make an amazing amount of money doing, marketing and advertising through their method. And so it really depends on how good you get at each of these methods. The thing is that, just keep getting better and better at whatever method you're focusing on at the time. What I've noticed is that people that are consistent and that consistently get up and learn something new each day eventually get good at what they're doing, right? So that's what I'm saying is get good at what you're focusing on. SEO, I think of that kind of like hunting, And basically, SEO represents search engine optimization, which is basically using the different search engines like Google, Yahoo, Bing to get to place keywords on articles and be able to, when people search for a word, your website comes up, right? SEO can really bring down the big game, and if you want to call it that. Not only that, but SEO has the potential of getting out there really deep and getting a lot of prospects once you get really good at it, right? So, I kind of think of maybe like having a deer fort, maybe it's like your blog, you never know what your blog's going to reach, who's going to reach, especially if you get good at it, right? And here's the thing is that it's not good to focus on so many different ways of advertising all at the same time, right? So it's good to understand to focus on one type of advertising, get good at it, and then have that method up your sleeve and use it, but move on to learning something new. And that's my advice, is to get good at something, get good at, for instance, doing solos on Udemy. And then once you've got it down and you're being consistent with it, then, move on to SafeList and see what you can do with SafeList. And then from SafeList, move on, once you got that down, then move on to email marketing, building your email list, right? And then after you finish, getting that down, then move on to some, posting some videos on YouTube. Right? And so, there's other methods of social media too. There's, Twitter and so many different there's always a new social media coming out all the time. If you think about it, each different advertising method is related to the other one. For instance, when you're going out there doing Udemy, building your list through Udemy or through SafeList, both methods are building a list that you're using to email. And so email marketing comes in, through solo advertising. Email marketing comes in through using SafeList advertising. And then, for instance, inside of email marketing, it really helps if you have some videos from time to time inside of your emails. So YouTube marketing really comes in handy inside of your email marketing, right? And not only that, but sharing your email posts on social media is a way of building, your social media advertising and your email marketing at the same time. Sharing your, taking your email posts and turning them into blog posts, sharing them on social media. Do you see how all these things are related? Each one kind of affects the other one. So the better you get at email marketing, and the better you get at social media marketing, the better you get at YouTube marketing, they all affect each other, right? Kind of like a lot of dominoes, just you hit the domino and it affects all the dominoes, they all start coming down. So those are some ideas for you. Alright, so now I want to give you some bullet points in a crash course in each of these marketing methods, right? So that, let's say you want to start learning some safeless advertising. I want to give you some bullet points that will help you know where to start and to make sure that you don't do the big mistakes, right? That you are hitting the bullet points and doing the right things at the beginning. Now, obviously, you're going to make some mistakes no matter what I tell you, but at least you won't make the big ones, right? You'll actually get to see all the bullet points and things you need to do in each type of advertising to make sure you're doing the right things. Okay, so after you've gone through Frank's the Power Lead Systems Cash Now funnel, and you've listened to step 3 of not my step 3 inside of this crash course, but step 3 inside of the Cash Now funnel. There's step 1, step 2, step 3, and this is going to go into a massive advertising method to help you really be able to learn how to succeed without a lot of trouble, right? Without a lot of skill. This is something that's going to help you to be able to learn how to do well, at least getting things off the ground without having to develop a huge amount of skill. Okay, and that's really important especially for your success, especially at the very beginning. All right. Now, after you go through that and you learn how to do that and you get the hang of it, then come on down here to Crash Course Basics, and let me go through a little bit of this with you. Honestly, I can't show it all to you right now, but I'm just going to go through some highlights here for you so that at least you know where to go to access this, and then also some things that I want to explain here so that you'll understand the course better when you get to it. Okay? So we've already mentioned about going out deep, learning how to catch the fish out where they are from shore. And this is going to go through some of the basics with you again, just to make sure that you're on the same page, right? And this is some of my results that I was able to have. You can actually look at that. But the reason I showed you some of my results is not because you're definitely going to have the same results as me, but just to give you an idea and a clue of where I'm getting most of my results from. Now, of course, everyone's different. I may be skilled a little bit more in one area, and you naturally may come to the table that a little bit more skilled in another area, so you might have better results with that than I did, right? But this is just to kind of give you an understanding of what I've experienced and a potential maybe of what you might experience, right? And of course, I'm obligated to be able to share with you that, our required earnings disclosure. Of course, you may or may not make any money from these methods, but everyone comes to the table with different skills and different abilities, and this is just examples of what may help you to be able to earn online. Okay. And you can, of course, scroll down to the very bottom of the page and you'll see our required earnings disclosure. Just click on that and you can see that if you like. Okay? One of the things I've noticed is that doing the right things creates the right results. Okay? And so if you do the right things, you will create the right results. Right? That makes sense, I'm sure. Now, Frank talks a lot about using Udemy solo ads, and you definitely want to go through his training because this is just an extended version of what he talks about. You know, basically what you definitely need to hear his training, because this is just an add-on to that, right? One of the things I found from using Udemy, and let me actually pull Udemy up here for a second and show you a little bit about this. So one of the things you want to do is when you go inside of Udemy is that you want to go to find sellers, okay? And then once the sellers come up, then you want to put the ratings to 300 plus ratings of getting sales. Okay, that's really important. All right. Also, you want to set your niche and anything else in here you want to, but definitely you want to set it for 300 plus and 30% got sales. This is something that I've learned after studying Udemy for about a day, listening to everything I could about Udemy, and these are a couple things. Now, inside of the training, I'm going to share some of these tips that I've got for you from studying Udemy for a day. Like literally, I just sat there and listened to the videos all day and took good notes. And these are all going to be all the things that I learned from that. And it was from taking Frank's training on Udemy, and then also listening to the training that I did all day on Udemy, and putting those together, that actually started me going down the right course of having success with it. Okay, and it's really important to listen to Frank's, because if you don't listen to Frank's training, you're going to miss some really key elements about it. Okay, and so now the next thing I want to share with you is that I put together some really great tips that's taken me, I don't know, probably 10 years of understanding network marketing, how to connect with people. And just so you know, understand networking, I'm talking about people that, you know, are your friends or family, people that you know, past clients, past customers, right? So, or even current customers. These are all people that you personally have interacted with, knowing them or talking on the phone, you know, potentially emailing as well if you built a relationship. These are all people that you have developed some kind of relationship with personally, right? So simple tips on connecting with people are just simple things like, you know, not saying too much, just saying maybe one question. You know, that question could be, are you open to making some additional income in your spare time? Right? Something like that. You know, and then if they say yes, great, then giving them the link. And if they're not interested, then moving on. You know, things like that. Things that I wish that I had known. And there's also going to be a video in here from my mentor who's just going to open your eyes and blow you away. Okay, so you definitely want to see that. Now, email marketing, this is everything I've learned over years and years and years of trying to understand how to connect with people, how to connect with my customers, and how to get my email subscribers to email me back and respond to me and create trust. And these are some really great tips that are going to really help you with that. As far as safe lists go, this has taken me since 2012 to understand how to be successful with safe lists. And these are all my tips on how to do it. Okay? And if you just go out there and promote an affiliate link, you're going to fail with safe lists. I can almost promise you 99% that you're going to fail. All right? And so there are some things you really need to know about safe lists if you want to succeed. You know, one of them is learning how to promote on safe lists and build your email list at the same time. All right. The next thing is calling leads. Now, I used to call leads for, I don't know, probably 60 to 100 calls a day, and it really wore me down. All right. And so these are some tips I've learned from calling leads that have changed everything for me and helped me to be able to get new people coming in all the time. Okay. Now, leads is a little bit hard for some people. Some people don't like to call people on the phone. If that's you, don't worry about it. On the other hand, some people don't like to sit on the computer all day and they'd rather be out there talking to people. So if that's you, then great. If you're willing to take on a little bit of a challenge, learn how to create trust by calling people and talking to them, then this is definitely an awesome training that you're going to really want to go through. Next, I'm going to share a strategy with you that really helped me to have some perspective on what I was using and what I was doing to attack these different avenues. Like, what tools was I using to connect with my prospects? And sometimes I wasn't using the right tools, or I wasn't using the right method, and that made a big difference for me, right? And knowing that you're using the right method for the at the right time is really important, and this strategy is really going to help you out with that. For instance, when you share, a business opportunity with somebody, what are you giving them? Are you giving them a sales page, or are you giving them a capture page? And, in hindsight, maybe it would have been better to give them a capture page so that they would have put their name and email on the line and be able to get your follow-up emails, instead of just giving them a sales page where if they read it but they're not interested in it, then that's the last they'll ever hear about it, right? But if you gave them a capture page where they had to put their name and email, well, they're going to start getting emails from you that will follow up with them and potentially catch their interest further down the line. Maybe they're not interested today, but maybe they'll be interested. Maybe some specific thing happens in their life, and things change for them, and so all of a sudden they see an email, with the opportunity that you shared with them 2 months ago, and all of a sudden now it's more applicable, right? And maybe now it comes in handy. So you can see the difference between using a sales page and a capture page, for instance, would have made a big difference in that case. That's just one example of what I'm talking about. I actually have a lot of examples in here to share with you similar to this, okay? And then there's going to be a whole bunch of more tips. And then, of course, what the 5 critical skills means to you. This is what changed everything for us. Once I actually had a 7-figure income mentor, I honestly, I was not succeeding all the way from 2012 to 2018. And it was a 7-figure income mentor that took me aside and helped teach me what these skills were, right? And he really didn't teach me each one in consecutive method like I'm going to teach you. He just taught me basic ideas of what these were, and I just kind of put them together over time and realized that there was 5 main skills that he basically opened my eyes to. And we're going to teach you what these skills are inside challenge 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and it just goes from basics, then we take you up one more level, advanced, and then a little bit more advanced. So one of the things I learned from Jim Rohn, as a very successful man who earned millions and millions of dollars, was that personal development, taking the time to become more skilled at what you're doing, is going to create a lot more wealth for you. Okay, so that's really important to understand. And this is all available to you right here at the very end. All right, but don't go here before you go through here and get all the basic tips to help you get started and understand where you're going. One last note about strategy and bringing in new people is that when you bring new people into your program, it's all about using the right tools, right, to be able to bring in the right people. And what you're really looking for, you're looking for aces. You're looking for people who are really interested in what you're sharing, what you're giving away, what we're selling here, right? So if you're bringing in, different people who are maybe just a little bit interested, they're not aces, right? So these are the people that you're really interested in getting on your team, right? So, if they're an 8 or they're a jack or they're this or that, these people, they only going to probably be in the business for a little while and then quit, right? So the people you really need to focus in are the people who really are into this, really find this exciting, really want to do this. Those are the people that you that you latch onto, that you have a focus for, right? There's like a magnetism between you and them. You want to help those people. Of course, you want to help everyone get started, but you really want it. These are the people that you need to spend the most time with, right? Now, of course, I'm going to go through all the different strategies, to help you with this, and all the right tools and whatnot. But I just wanted to emphasize that for you. All right. Again, I want to repeat this one more time, is that, pick one of these methods, whether it's safe lists or email marketing or networking or Udemy, whatever it is, okay? Pick one of these methods and get good at it before you move on to learning something new in addition. And, they all, like I said earlier, they are like dominoes. They all affect each other. So you can learn bits and pieces of them at a time, but be careful to keep your focus on one until you understand it well enough so that you can move on to the next one, okay? All right. That's the basics of this. I hope that really helps you. I can't wait to show you this training in real life so you can actually have it in your hands, so you can actually access it whenever you want and be able to go through each of the tips that I've mentioned here and be able to access them and do each one in succession, okay? So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this training, and put this link up here in your browser and access the training next, okay? So thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate your help, and we want to turn that around and help you to succeed as well. So thank you again for liking and subscribing, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a great day, and if you ever need us, just go to the very bottom of the page and you'll see our name, our email, and our phone number on there. You can contact us anytime. From all of us, take care.